One, and welcome to episode two. Episode two of the Dad Religion Podcast. I'm Jason here with Jim. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, bro. How you doing?
I'm good. How was your week?
It was good. You look cold.
It's a little chilly here. The shed that I do this in, or the little man cave, is it's insulated, but it's very cold.
Yeah. By the way, your wife calls that the Becky Barn. I'm just not sure if you know that on Facebook.
I do. I let her have her what she thinks is hers, but it's. I did it all. I did all the work. I put everything except for the drywall. I put everything up. This is my spot. I just let her borrow it.
Cool.
But yeah, you had a good week. Saw a lot of
bread.
A
lot of what?
A lot of bread.
Fair amount. Yeah. Trying to get that Johnny B's account across the street. You know Johnny B's, right? Burger joint. Yeah. I was in there yesterday and found out that they're not happy with their bread guy. So we'll see what happens.
Who did they have as a bread guy? You probably don't want to call anyone out, but
I don't. But it's the if you're from around here, it's the obvious choice. If you're wondering who it is that the people hate, it's usually them.
SR?
No, I don't know who that is actually.
Oh.
Dude, the bread business has changed so much. There are very, very few names that were around even 10 years ago.
Is there a bread mafia? Like, do you guys like? I kind of think of it as like kind of Anchorman, but you have your own crew, like against this crew, and you guys come into the middle of the streets of La Mesa and you chop each other's arms off, and you have freaking samurais and all kinds and hammers and
no. Certified Foods and Cisco and all those places crush all of us. There's no war. Even if we banded together, there's no. Yeah,
you should ban. Listen. I'm thinking of it in my head. I got the. You know what? If you strategically ban every bread guy together and make a plan, you can stop those trucks from getting to where they need to be.
Totally, yeah.
Stop them, and you know what? You stopped them so many times, people are gonna we need new bread people because we're not getting our bread from. And then boom, you guys move in. You know, it can be like some Breaking Bad shit when they're like trying to get the drugs to a certain spot and they're setting up all the trucks to blow up or robbed all at the same time. They weren't getting their shit. Okay, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here.
That was genuinely a terrible idea. No, I'm good anyway. I don't have a whole lot of competition. There's enough business out here. There's so few of us nowadays that, people either like some restaurants, if they're too small to, draw someone in there to try and sell them bread, they'll just go to Grocery Outlet or Restaurant Depot or someplace like that. And get
I miss Grocery Outlet.
Yeah. I actually have Grocery Outlet as one of my accounts that I serve. So
they're a cool store. You find some cool stuff there.
Yeah, sure. Wine, dude. You can get some really good wine. They'll get wine from last year, which means it's probably just past its peak. Some stuff, they'll get wine that was widely distributed, like at Bevmo and stuff like that the year before. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't decline in quality that quickly. So you're drinking
no, wine ages, right?
No, it hits a peak, and then after it hits that peak, then it starts to decline in quality.
Wait. But what's the peak? Because people age wine for years.
It'll depend on the kind of wine. I'm sure. I'm not the guy. I could check for you though. My brother-in-law would know.
Well, as long as it's kept the way it should be kept in like a wine cellar or a wine spa where the temperature's good. Wine should, just like beer, like a good stout gets better with age. So does a wine. Wine gets better with age.
I'm sure that even with stout, that there is a peak where at a certain point, this is as good as it gets, and then it'll slowly start to taper off and lose some of those qualities that made it at its peak.
I had a stout. It's called Machiavelli. Like a Tupac inspired stout, and it was probably 9-10 years old. I opened it a couple months back, and it was absolutely fucking fantastic.
But you don't know when the peak for that is. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is, You get them from. You said they have last year's, so it
Last
could
year's
be.
what they're selling. That's what they had on the shelf last year. Probably
Oh, got it.
was picked, like
Got it. Got it. Got it.
I think I got an '08 the other day.
Got it.
And
Okay.
and so that one was just past its peak. Different wines, I think, are going to peak at different times as well.
Yeah. Oh wait, that's 16 years, right? So.
Yep.
So.
So,
What you think of the Super Bowl? Ah,
I thought it was dog shit. As far as like a sporting event, it was crap. But it's not. I mean, I've seen some bad ones. I think my Raiders were in a pretty bad one. They got squashed pretty bad by Tampa Bay.
yeah, that was in San Diego.
Even that wasn't as bad as this. This was like I never felt like I got no skin in the game. Honestly, I like the whole Taylor Swift thing because it means that my wife and daughter sometimes watch football with me now, which is something that it was unprecedented before, and I like it now. It's like weird to hear them talking football language that I've never heard come from those voices. And it's made them real legit fans. It's not like it's just, she's brought them into the fandom of football. It's a weird thing. It is what it is. So
I'm kind of tired of hearing about it. Either way, I don't really care.
I bet you she is too. And she learned a hard lesson about Philadelphia fans this time.
I think she's making money off it. If I can be perfectly honest, I'm not trying to be that guy, but
and the NFL's making money off of it. I mean, a ton of money.
They both are. I think it's a mutual agreement that she's at certain amount of games.
It's a mutual situation that benefits them both. I don't think they got together and said she's like, oh, hey, I'm going to date this guy so that I can go.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying after the fact, after they realized what she was bringing to the table.
They don't even need to have an agreement. They just need to let these two things continue to coexist, and both are going to increase revenue, But it's funny though to watch Christine and like all these other girls that we know get really offended by the fact that they booed Taylor Swift like that. They're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Okay, I have to explain some things to you." There's a city on the East Coast. It's called Philadelphia, and in that city, they do this thing all the time to everybody, and that is they boo whenever the fuck they want to. And they booed Mike Schmidt back in the day. That dude was like their Hall of Fame third baseman, right? They booed Santa Claus when he parachuted in.
They threw freaking snowballs at him, remember?
So I don't remember the snowballs, but that's hilarious. So like, I mean, I'm sure that you could tell that Taylor Swift was like, what the fuck's going on, right? But I'm sure someone took her like aside and said, okay, so this is Philly, right? Now let me remind you about Philly. What they're like, what they do. So that's what I
don't know. There's three. I don't mean to interrupt you. Sorry. I'm done with Taylor Swift.
Why?
I just done with hearing about her. It's like, ugh.
That phenomena is going to it's going to have to become something else. Nothing is sustainable like that. But while it's still going on,
she is extremely talented. She is extremely caring. She does a lot for the community. I'm as a human, as an artist, she's amazing. Don't get me wrong. There's just some people I get sick and tired of just hearing about, like this whole Kendrick Lamar Drake beef. Oh God, just let's move on, dude. I'm
pretty sure that's done. I mean, it should be.
It should have been done 6 months ago. It was just brought back into the limelight at the Super Bowl, and
it was brought. I mean, the song itself just won a few Grammys last week, a couple weeks ago. And so I think it was still relevant. I did. That's what okay, so I guess we're going to go ahead and segue over to halftime show.
All right. I didn't mean that. I kind of segued myself.
You know how I feel. Let me hear how you feel. I haven't got your point of view about it. What did you think? Like, we've obviously, both of us have watched a lot of Super Bowl concerts in the last week or so. So what did you think about it? Where do you rank it? What was wrong with it? What was right with it? The whole thing.
All right. So, Kendrick Lamar.
Yep.
I don't think that if you were going for viewership of your average NFL viewer,
right,
he probably wasn't the smartest choice.
Well,
Now,
yeah, probably not.
there's
Wait, let me
there's this,
real quick. Before you go on, then what would be the smarter choice? Because it seems to me that you're going to piss off half either way. You know, like if you were to bring in, say, Kid Rock or whatever, that would not.
Oh, don't ever bring in Kid Rock.
That's a bad example because he sucked when he was on before. But let's say you brought in somebody, I can't think of who would be, considered a country music person who's conservative right now. I know that there's a man and his wife who like kind of battle that way with.
I'm not saying conservative. I'm just saying.
But Kendrick is a radical, when it comes to that kind of shit. He is a political dude. There's no way to get around that.
Yes, people don't understand him.
No.
He's a wordsmith. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner, 2016. He has so many different things in his songs that people just don't get or don't understand until they're explained to them. And doing that in front of a large audience of a certain demographic of people, and I could give two shits left. I don't care what anyone says, but I'm just saying for their benefit, I think it might have been.
For Super Bowl's benefit?
Yeah, I guess it would have been a reach. Not that I give a shit about their benefit. I'm just saying it might have been a reach. I'm thinking they should have went with the more New Orleans type of rapper if they're going to rapping. I'm not a big Lil Wayne fan. I don't think he's as amazing as everyone thinks he is. But they should have maybe went there. Maybe not.
That could have been a good show. It would have been a different show for sure.
Bring in some Master P, some Silk the Shaka.
That would be fun. So obviously, I'm gonna disagree with you a bit on this. I kind of felt like it was the right show at the right time because of where we're at. You got people out there having to think now. It's not just like candy coated. You're giving them something to think about. Including us, people who are fans, had to go and get the breakdown to figure out all the shit that he's saying there and all that's going on.
I didn't even do that.
No, well, it's fucking it's a lot.
I saw it. I didn't go look for it. I mean, it just kind of.
Are you Kendrick? Are you on Team Kendrick when it came down to the whole Kendrick thing?
I don't have a dog in the fight.
How do you feel about Drake? Just as a rapper,
I've never been a fan of Drake. He's had like 2 songs I've liked. They were older.
Right.
It's not my style of rap. If I'm going to listen to hip hop or rap, that's not going to be it.
What about
Kendrick? It's not
Kendrick?
even going to be close to being it. To be honest.
But what about Kendrick now? How do you feel
Kendrick,
about him?
now, Kendrick, he has some bangers. He has some, but I have on every one of his albums. I think I don't like. There's not an album that he has that I like every song. There's a few that I'm just like, eh.
So you don't think there's no non-skips? There's no non-skip albums?
Not even close. No.
Interesting. Not even Damn?
No, it's a good album. No.
Damn is not an album that you listen to bump and bump your head. That's you listen to that to fucking hear it, and that's if you want to go and watch a couple breakdowns of that album, Jason, because that's the one he won the Pulitzer for. And there's a reason why he won that Pulitzer, because if you reverse the order that you listen to the songs, it completely changes the narrative. It's crazy. And I don't know if anyone's ever thought to do that with hip hop or music in general. I can't think of anyone ever having done something like that before. And
I don't know that I need all lyrics. I need beats too. And I need some. I mean, I like Mad City. I don't know if that's his first or second album. I think that has swimming pools on it, right? Or is that To Pimp a Butterfly? I don't remember.
That's another masterpiece album is Pimp a Butterfly.
He's definitely a better rapper lyricist than Drake.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously not a Dre produced type of artist either, so he doesn't. It's a different. They have a different approach to music, But it doesn't mean that it's less good. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's better. It's more complex. It's got a heck of a lot more going on there, trying to do more. Use the music to tell the stories. But he's not the first one to bring in jazz and all these other. I mean, Tribe's been doing that for decades, right? So I don't know. I like him a lot. I think as far as new rappers go, he's totally legit. And you and I both probably have our
Well,
opinion.
I mean, he's been doing it for like 13 years. I don't know if I'd call him new rapper anymore.
For us who have been around for decades and decades, he's still, you know,
for old guys.
Old guys like us.
Old white guys talking about rap. That's what old rap guys talking about hip hop. That's what we're gonna call this.
Why did we not name it that? That would have been the better. That would have gotten a much bigger.
This is maybe one episode if we get into that. All right, we're not going to be old white guys talking about hip hop. We're going to talk about everything. You know,
Christine and I are going to do a YouTube channel where we've got a stack of 45s that like we inherited from our parents. That I have no idea what's in there. Like I played that one for you, right? The question mark on the Mysterians. It's a whole stack of stuff that we just don't know what's in there. So we're going to do like a little listen and react type of thing, without any knowledge of what we're about to hear, you know, and then
that's a good idea.
These little 5 to 10 minute segments to, you know, and did I tell you what our handle is going to be? So she's Spicy Nona and I'm the Old Dirty Grandpa. Yeah. You can shake your head at that. Yeah. ODB. Yeah. Nice. We didn't plan that. We didn't plan that at all. By the way, this is local record store. This is Reanimated.
Great store.
You been there?
I have.
It's a dope store. Owners are great people too. They're really neat. Every year when they do the Christmas in the Village thing here where we live, the owner comes out dressed as Krampus. It's awesome. It scares the shit out of.
We have a really cool record shop around the corner here too called Piranha Records. It's pretty dope. I love going into a record store. It kind of reminds me of the Black a little bit, this record store, because you just go in and you just smell freaking incense as you walk in, and just the smell of old vinyl. And the owner's really cool, and they just got it's a dope place. I like it. Yeah, I love a good record store.
We've got another one over here called the Confinement Shack. I think it's called the Confinement Shack. And then, they're only recently having done records. They used to be like a thrift store kind of a place. But she's got a ton of stuff. People are just coming in and dumping libraries and stuff. So I go in there all the time. Ask her, where's your hip hop section? She's like, I got to have some hip hop to have a hip hop section. It goes out. Nobody hip hop. They know when the hip hop's going to arrive at her store, and they're there like when the store opens to get it. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yesterday we were searching for the K-pop section.
Ooh. Is there a K-pop section? Vinyl?
There is a K-pop section. Yes, there is.
That's nice. And what did you find?
Well, my daughter just recently reached the all A's mark for the first time. She's had this B in math forever, and then it's gone down to a C, and then she brought it back up to a B, and she finally got it to an A. So she's all A's.
Straight A's. That requires
a new K-pop album. I don't know who it was.
Which daughter?
Madeline.
Maddie got a K-pop album?
Maddie loves K-pop. That's her thing now.
Is it?
Yeah. Her wall is covered in a bunch of K-pop dudes.
She is going to have the coolest taste in music by the time she's 25. It's going to be the broadest, you know, she won't have any of those prejudices that you and I had growing up. You know?
Oh, yeah, I force her to listen to my music. I give her this. I like one K-pop song to one of my songs.
That's a fair trade. Do you know what I did with our girls? This was just luck. Okay, there was a period of time when I was injured and I was out of work, and Christine was working, and so I had the kids, but we still weren't making enough money to like afford the house that we had bought. So we took a job driving neighborhoods looking for palm trees for a landscape company, and we'd find a palm tree and take a picture and send it. I get like $5 per palm tree picture, and then like I think 25 if they bought the tree or some shit like that. So we were doing that, and we spent a lot of time doing that, and I'd have the girls in the back seat with me during summer. So in order to keep them engaged, we would play a game where I would play one of 3 artists, and they needed to guess who that artist was. And the 3 artists were always the Eagles, the Beatles, and the Beach Boys. And the reason why I chose those 3 is because they all have like really good harmonies in their songs. And so while we played this game, I had them listen. You had to listen to at least half the song before they claimed, and they were starting to understand who the Beatles were. So I was having to get deeper and deeper cuts, of who they were. But then they would have to guess based on the harmony that they heard if it was the Beatles, the Eagles, or the Beach Boys.
Oh, that's cool.
And now they each love those three bands, and they can sing in harmony too, which is great.
So let's swing it back to the Super Bowl a little bit.
Okay. I give you my opinion on Kendrick's performance.
Yeah.
I give it a 10 out of 10 because I think it's deep, but I don't think it was going to appeal even to hip hop fans necessarily as the obvious choice of song selections. And I don't know if everyone would have gotten the message straight off. I agree with you on that. But for me, and since it's subjective, I thought the fact that he was both making a comment about being black in America and finishing off that fucking diss war with Drake, which by the way, that is done. That shit is done. It wasn't a surgical attack. He carpet bombed the dude like it was Dresden 1945, and he was it was, dude, you cannot. I grew up in the era of No Vaseline, and I've never heard anybody so thoroughly and utterly demolished in a comp. They should move on. They really should. He should take LL's advice and just okay, that's cool.
Well, I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
You give it a 7 out of 10? That's still not bad.
No, I liked it. I just didn't
stick
to people.
It was
I mean?
Yeah.
And if I was Drake, I mean, the dude called him a pedophile. Like, that's not something that it's over. You accuse someone of pedophilia, right. You just can't say it's over.
So I don't know much about Drake. Does he?
If he is not guilty of that, I'm not saying he is. I don't know. But if he is not guilty of that, how can you just take that? Oh, it's over. He says I like little girls. It's over. It's like he is now labeled.
So he doesn't actually. That's a misunderstanding. He didn't call Drake a pedophile. He called somebody in Drake's crew a pedophile, certified lover boy, certified pedophile. He's talking about the dude. He's like, you got to go and listen to that section.
Drake a pedophile.
He said, "Hey Drake, I heard you like them young."
Yeah.
Now that's not calling him a pedophile. That you could like 18, 19 years. No, there is a difference, dude. And
no. He called him a pedophile. He said he likes minors. He said he likes them young. He is calling him a pedophile. What are you talking about?
He said if you try to strike a chord,
stop. He called him a pedophile. He says he likes little girls. End of story. But the thing is, on Drake's part, how can that just be over with? You know what I mean?
Maybe you don't want to bring in the heat. Maybe you don't want to get Nellied and end up.
Half the world is going to think he's a pedophile.
Does he have a reputation of going for younger women?
I have no idea. I don't know.
So here's the thing: if Kendrick called him that without any pretext, then he is going to catch a case. He's going to catch a civil case, and it's going to cost him.
I think he's suing them right now. He's suing the record company.
He's suing everybody, but as far as I know, he has not filed papers against Kendrick. So I'm not really sure about that. But if it's not true, and Kendrick did call him a pedophile, and in my opinion, he called a couple dudes in his crew a pedophile, and then he flirted with it. Like, oh, this guy might be kind of...
I've never heard the couple dudes part. That's new to me. I've never heard of anything.
He's talking about, in the song, he's talking about how one guy gets all of Drake's hand-me-downs, and then there's another guy, and then the last guy is he's catching a weird case or something like that, certified lover boy, certified pedophile. So he's talking about the guys in his crew.
Isn't Drake, that's his nickname, Loverboy, certified? He's Loverboy, certified.
It could be.
I'm pretty sure he's called
Drake. Maybe I don't know. We're really being old white guys talking about rap because I am way out over my head because I don't really know. But when I saw the breakdown they broke down who he was talking to, and I don't know who any of those cats are. I don't. But apparently they both have been going back and forth, not at just each other, but also at each other's crews and at other people in there. But whatever it is, you're probably right Drake's probably going to have to try and come back, but my guess is whatever he does is going to fall flat because he's just not a battle rapper. It's just not his jam. You know, he shouldn't really fuck around with it. And if it falls flat, Kendrick should probably just do like the Muhammad Ali thing against Foreman and just let him fall. Don't throw the last punch. You don't need to. You know, the picture looks good the way it is.
All right. Super Bowl halftime shows.
The most controversial one. And this one is controversial not just because of the wardrobe malfunction. Have you gone back and watched the Janet Jackson one?
I have not yet. I mean, I see the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson one in my head.
Justin Timberlake is the least of your concerns as far as guest appearances in that room. We have, Nelly. We have Kid Rock and Sean Combs. That is a fucking. Those are the guys that came up with her.
Well, what year was that?
Whatever year it was when she had the wardrobe malfunction. That was all the same year. I couldn't believe it.
Or something like that. 2004.
Yeah, something like that. It was when we had first moved down to San Diego. I remember because I had an argument with my dad about it, who thought it was pornography or some shit. But he had no idea. He did not know that by having Nelly and Sean Combs up there, that you were getting pretty close to pornography and some pretty bad, naughty, illegal pornography. You know.
What did Nelly do? Did Nelly do something?
Nelly's got a life sentence, doesn't he? Didn't he date?
He just played Trump's inauguration.
Nelly?
Yes. It's getting hot in here. Come on, so take off.
That's gross.
Man, you are an old white guy.
I don't know, dude. Did Trump pardon Nelly or some shit like that? Because that dude had a case.
Nelly was never arrested. What are you talking about?
Hang on.
See, now I know your Kendrick take is way off if you didn't know this.
How does Nelly spell his name?
Nelly.
All right. So he's got a drug offense charge in 2015.
Don't be putting no dirty stuff on Nelly's name.
Oh my God, dude! I confused him with someone else. You see, this is why.
Old man.
My bad. Okay, so that makes me feel a little bit better, actually. I thought it was the sexual deviant, tour that was going on in that. That's Sean Combs.
Did he?
Yeah.
So, rank them. Number one.
My favorite one, and let's just this is all going to be subjective. My favorite one is Prince. Still, I just watched that one last night, and I thought that was one of the better shows.
For me, Michael Jackson's number one. Okay.
Just watched it for the first time, and I have to watch the whole thing. But you might be right. It's there. I think that there's some of them that are 10 out of 10, and then you just have to rank it according to your preference. I give Prince
top 5.
Huh?
Top 5. Number 2 for me.
Okay.
Is Prince.
Yeah.
2 for you.
2 for me. I see now. I might. It was Dre, but Michael might bump Dre. That was pretty good. And I got to be honest, I just saw Beyonce, which fucking kind of blew my mind, and I saw Bruno Mars, which I had no idea was that good. He brought out the Chili Peppers, and they fucking brought the house down. So those are 2 more that are either 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. And also, there's Paul McCartney now, which like 10 out of 10. Like it's hard for me to.
My number 3. He's my number 3.
He's your number 3. So I'm probably going to say I gotta put Michael Jackson on hold because I gotta watch the whole performance first. So I can't put him into my top 5 right now. But as of right now, my top 5 would be Prince, Dre in the squad, and then Kendrick and Paul McCartney are like neck and neck. Like for opposite reasons. For Paul McCartney because it was just simple Beatles and Paul McCartney stuff, and it was great. He delivered. He sounded good.
Mm-hmm. I felt like it was at his concert. It didn't feel like a stage thing.
Yeah. With Kendrick, it was kind of like, because it was another one of those poetic events that he just does something that's doing like several things at the same time, the way he does with albums. So, and I'm a bit of a junkie for that kind of thing. I like the subtext. I like multiple messages. I think it's poetic, it's good shit. Then 4 would be whoever of the McCartney or Kendrick. And then I don't know, dude. Like for 5, Tom Petty was great. Springsteen was great. I thought the Black Eyed
What about
Peas were,
Rihanna?
huh?
Wasn't Rihanna pregnant during hers?
She was great, and yeah, you know what? That she was also great. She was pregnant. She was like what, 60 feet above the air, or 100 feet above the air. It was crazy doing her shit. So I don't know if I can get beyond 4 right now. I think since Michael Jackson's going to slide in, that he's going to fit into that. So those are my top 5. I don't know where Michael fits yet, but he'll definitely be in there. Beyonce was great. Who did you not like? Who did you find lackluster or just or absolutely shit?
I'm not a big YouTube fan.
I still haven't seen that one.
I think I'm probably gonna catch some shit for this from a few people if anyone watches. But U2, I just think Bono is just kind of a. I think U2 was forced into our face so much a couple years back when they put them on phones and they're just here, there.
Oh, dude, yeah, Apple did that to us. They like forced us to have it downloaded into our music, and we couldn't delete it.
I'm sick of Bono. I want Bono from the war era. That's some good music. But all this. I mean, I've heard they're amazing live. Which again, I don't hate them. I'm just kind of like, and I think no, I'm gonna get hate for this. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna say what I want to say. I don't think that listen, I'm a 90s rap junkie. I love it.
Right.
I would not put the Dre in my top 5. I
Really?
think a lot of people put it in there because of the nostalgia, and that's what they remember and love.
What was wrong with it?
I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I just don't think there was anything spectacular about it. I mean, what was spectacular about it? There was nothing really spectacular about it.
You had
It's nostalgia. Nothing crazy. I mean, you had 50 Cent come
out. They sounded. It was a great hip hop performance too. They sounded awesome. They didn't sound bad at all.
But if you go Super Bowl, you want something that's I mean,
you want to not hip hop?
I don't know. I just think people loved it because of nostalgia. We're all, maybe that's, I don't know.
I was interested in watching it because of the nostalgia. I got up and danced around the pool at my brother-in-law's house with the rest of the crew there because I thought it was a great performance.
You were dancing? I would have loved to have seen that.
We were just bringing it, dude. It was fucking. We were.
Can you get up and do the Serena Crip walk for me right now?
Yeah, no, I can't do the Crip walk because A, that'll get me shot, and B, I don't.
That will not get you shot. You got a blue La Mesa thing behind you. You're good, bro.
By the way, I was just brought up to speed on that. It's only called a Crip walk if it's a Crip who's doing it. If it's a Blood who's doing it, it's a Blood walk, and it's the same dance. It just depends on who's doing it. That's what Snoop said, apparently. So.
Well.
Yeah, I didn't know that Kendrick was a Blood. Didn't know that at all.
I don't talk about gangs. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm just a lowly old white boy.
So my dad coached baseball. My stepdad coached baseball when I was in the 4th and 5th grade, and there were some guys on that team who I ended up going to high school with at Nogales High School, which is a pretty rough school in West Covina. I'm just on the edge of West Covina and La Puente, and so I had to leave that school in my sophomore year because I was about to get the shit beat out of me by a Filipino gang that I didn't know was a gang. All I knew was that a friend of mine was about to get into a fight with like 2 guys, and I just kind of stepped in and wrapped him up and pulled him out. Well, then they had some beef with me, and then suddenly it wasn't 2 guys. It was like 8 guys, and they were like talking, they were cursing at me in Tagalog, and like it was I'd never been in a situation like that. But these 3 dudes who were members of Neighborhood Crip, they had a little satellite affiliate out there at Nogales High School, and they're the real Neighborhood Crips. Like that's a legit Compton gang. And one of them was this guy named, and I swear to God, his name was Jimmy Walker. His name was Jimmy Walker, and his buddy, who was like, God, he was like 6'8". He had a massive afro. That dude's last name was Applewhite, and I knew that because he was in my PE class. But those three dudes, I don't know who the other guy was. They walked into that circle, and Jimmy Walker, because my dad was his coach, and he remembered me, and my dad was a good coach. He was a good guy. He wrapped me up and carried me right on out of that little circle, and I didn't go back to school the next day. He said, you need to talk to your mama and figure out a different place to go to school because this is not going to be good for you anymore. Isn't that crazy though? So I told that story to my daughter, and to this day, she says, well, that means that we're Crip affiliated because obviously I wouldn't be here if we would have let those Filipino guys kill you. So I know, right? That's my oldest daughter. That's Bella.
Well,
so that's it. That's my gang story.
I don't have any.
Oh, you're lucky. You're better off not having any. That was fucking scary. I'm sorry. I have another gang story, and this one's even funnier. Same school, and I'm walking home from school. I go out the back way, which goes through the football field, and then you have to cross over like a little drainage gully kind of thing, and it's like a wash. So there's like a fence and stuff around, and the wash goes under the street, and there's a bunch of cholos hanging out right there at the wash. And I'm there by myself. And of course, the little white guy gets their attention. They come over to me and they start harassing me. And I'm thinking I'm going to be clever and let them know, hey, I'm Mexican too. My grandma is Mexican. And that did not go over very well, as you can imagine. So they took my Swatch watch. They took my shoes. They took my Swatch watch. Which was the only thing of value that I had, because they took off my shoes because they thought they were Reeboks and saw they were Pro Wings and then threw them into the freaking wash. And I had to walk home barefoot. No, in my socks. I had to walk home in my socks without my Swatch watch. They said, tell Abuelita we said hello. There you go. I'm all ganged out. That happened before. That was before the squabble or the near squabble with the Filipino gang. So, yeah, dude.
I forget you're part Mexican.
I was misplaced at Nogales High School because I was all of like 5'9", 120 pounds, soaking wet, and I was like a little new wave guy with my hair like all like flock of seagulls and shit. It was bad. It was a bad pairing. It really was.
Nice.
You want to get back to school?
No, I think we're good on the Super Bowl. Let's talk a little bit more. What time? What do we got? Where are we at? 36 minutes, 56 seconds.
Give me a worst first, though, before we depart. I think Katy Perry is pretty bad.
I'm gonna go with Jennifer Lopez and Shakira.
Yeah, that was good.
I am gonna go with what was that one in '94? No, you know what? That's all I got. What? I don't think that any of them are bad. Tom Petty was decent, but I wouldn't put him in my top 5. Oh. What's that group? That group from London. Oh my God! If I could rule the world, na 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 na.
Oh no.
Anyways, their lead singer.
Right,
huh?
Yeah. It's right there. I just can't.
I didn't think they were great.
No.
Bruno Mars is all right.
Dude, I thought Bruno Mars was off the hook. I thought that was pretty fucking good.
But when it comes down to it, I don't understand people getting so mad over a Super Bowl performance. Who gives a rat's dick about the Super Bowl? Who really gives a shit? I don't care. I don't care if it's the worst, the best, the greatest. I don't really give a shit. And people get so bent out of shape and so mad. I couldn't understand it. Who cares? No one cares.
What country are we living in right now, Jason? Honestly, isn't that just par for the course? Having gone back yesterday and the day before and watched all of these Super Bowl performances and remembering how people reacted to each of them. This has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, every year it happens, but who? Yep. I don't understand why people waste their energy on this stuff. Who cares? We can talk about it. But no one gives a shit about your opinion. No one gives a shit about my opinion. No one gives a shit about their opinion. If you like it, you liked it. If you don't, you don't. Period. End of story. People whine too much.
We've become a nation of haters, bro, and it's just the way it is. And everyone's hating. It doesn't really matter. It could have been.
That's social media for you, man. It gives everyone the opportunity to sit behind the screen of their phone and be Billy Badass and not have any repercussion for it, you know?
right? And then also not have to leave their house and go with maybe a friend from high school who likes this group of music, and maybe you don't really like it, but your friend doesn't want to go to the concert by themselves, so you go reluctantly, and motherfucker, did that not turn out to be the best fucking show you ever saw? It completely changes your feeling on music in general. You don't have as many of those experiences anymore. People flock to what they already believe in or what they already like and what they already have connected themselves to.
No, I went and saw Squeeze. All right.
Oh, yeah, Squeeze. Nice.
Yeah, and I wasn't a big fan, but I left a big fan. It was such a good show.
He recommended that we do a Squeeze song, and it has still eluded us to this day, not because we don't want to do it, just because it's fucking hard. It's like they're not easy shit at all. You know, the guitar player thinks we could do it. The rest of us are like, oh, you know.
Yeah. They had Fountains of Wayne opening on it for him. Do you know what that is?
No, never heard of them.
Stacy's mom has got it going on. There was this dude. We weren't at Humphreys. I can't remember where we were at, but anyway, it was seating like Humphreys, you know, with fold up chairs right there.
Right.
And there's this dude like 3 rows in front of us. When that song came up, he was so fucking hyped. He jumped up and he was like, "Stacy's mom," and he's beating his fist, and it was the most hilarious thing. He was dancing, and fuck, how he loved that song. He was a groupie of Fountains of Wayne. He was so happy, or he was really drunk. I'm not sure which one.
Or yes.
All right, let's pick a genre. Let's end this with our favorite groups of a certain genre. I'm gonna let you pick the genre, and I'm just gonna go off the top of my head.
Okay.
You like, and you can do the same.
You mind if I don't take the obvious choices of genre and go a little deeper?
You pick what. I mean, you can go deeper. We'll see if I can name anyone. But yeah, let's do it. Whatever you want, brother.
Let's say, all right.
As long as you don't go disco, because I ain't gonna know no one.
I'd have to make it up. I don't. Yeah. Isn't Gloria Gaynor disco?
I wish she was. I Will Survive, right? Is that her?
That's her. Yeah.
No.
Okay. How about let's just do like 90s alternative.
Oh shit.
Probably not a strong genre for you, but I know that you probably have a few that have snuck through there.
90s alternative. I'm not gonna go in any given order.
So we're starting with, like, you know, Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all that stuff, and going all the way through to, you know, I guess that's the beginning of like Blink and all that other stuff at the end of the night.
I saw Blink before they made it big.
I bet you they were very entertaining. Were they entertaining?
Yes, Travis Barker wasn't in the group.
They
had another drummer. They weren't Blink 182. They were just Blink. They played at a movie theater in Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
So,
I mean, they were good. That was the pop punk kind of. They were more punk back then than they were pop punk. But all right, I love a good Alice in Chains song.
Okay, yeah, right.
Lynn Staley's voice. I just love a good Alice in Chains. I just don't think they put out. Granted, they weren't around. Actually, they're still around, but different singer. I've seen them with a different singer already once, but I just don't think they put out a bad album.
No, they're good.
I mean, they only put out a few, but I mean, they were good. Pearl Jam. I mean, bucket list for me. 10 is one of the, I think, most breakthrough albums of all time in all of music, in my opinion. I think 1 through 10 on that album is good. There's so many freaking hits on that album. Like literally, if you look at that album, there are so many hits.
And they weren't written to be hits.
No. And it's just an amazing album.
It's a good era, that early part of the 90s, because the genre was still sort of changing itself. Now, some people there's going to be a lot of hardcore and punk rock purists who don't like the fact that punk rock started to evolve into this other kind of thing, which kind of was looping it back around towards classic rock in a way. But
there's a difference though, because punk rock changed, but then we had skate punk in that same era. Skate punk was huge. Skate punk, and I wasn't even a skater, but the music alone was heavily influential on my life.
You say skate punk, and I think Suicidal Tendencies. I'm thinking that you're talking about someone else.
I'm thinking Face to Face, Bad Religion, No Effects, Lagwagon, Unwritten Law. The list goes on and on. Goldfinger for some a little ska influence. Real Big Fish. Just anything that you would get on a Vans Warp Tour or anything you get on a Fat Records compilation. Guttermouth, Pennywise. That was 90s too. You know what I mean? So punk might have been changing, but it was changing for the better. You know, Propagandhi. That's my second favorite punk band of all time. I love that band. But How to Clean Everything, fucking great album. Fat Records, Epitaph. So that was that revival of punk. It just changed it into a more faster, not as aggressive style of punk. But back to what you were talking about. The first Smashing Pumpkins album. Oh my god, dude! Billy Corgan was just, I don't know, man. It was just something about it, man. That just.
By the time we got to Melancholy, they were starting to become maybe a little bit more produced than what some people might be comfortable with. But I kind of find all of those albums up through Melancholy just to be. I listened to the shit out of every one of them. I thought they were great.
They are.
About the Beastie Boys, right? If you're talking about 90s alternative, do you count the Beastie Boys? I mean, they're hip hop and punk, and
there's a difference. There's a difference, I think, in with the Beastie Boys because we'll talk about them. We got to have a whole conversation just about
okay, that's cool.
I mean, Nirvana was cool. I don't know if you consider like System of a Down, Rage Against the Machine.
Are they alternative? I don't know. I don't know how to genre those guys. I love them both. Yeah, both those are two excellent.
I'm trying to think of anyone else I can think of. This would be more 80s, but when the Red Hot Chili Peppers, their first couple albums, Mother's Milk and those albums, oh my god, dude.
Blood Sugar Sex Magik, fuck yeah, dude.
Funk and just that Blood Sugar Sex Magik album was, I remember listening to it when we were moving from Michigan to Arizona, like literally the whole entire drive. Great album. What about you?
So there was I'm going to finish. Remind me to finish with a story about a show at the Palladium. But for me, the bands would be. I'm going to agree with you on Pearl Jam because that brought me back to rock music again. And when I said that the punk purist might have a problem, you know who really has a problem with bands like Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden? We're more the hair metal band kinds of guys because their genre just absolutely disappeared when there was a more credible, more reputable, and well done version of hard rock that was still a little gritty and grungy like rock is supposed to be, option for people to go to. So I think they're the ones who went from selling out, arenas down to, 300 people in a 100%. Small.
I was watching a doc on that the other day about this band who was huge. I can't remember who it was. It was like Dokken or something like that, Rat or some Cinderella, some band.
All bands, by the way, that I had T-shirts for when I was in junior high. Every single one of them.
And then when Smells Like Teen Spirit came out, the song,
they were done.
It was over like overnight.
First of all, because I did grow up with hair bands and stuff in the 80s and stuff like that, Motley Crue and Rat and Twisted Sister and all those, and fucking remind me someday to tell you what my mom did in my record collection one year.
I think you told me.
Did I tell you?
Yeah.
She pulled out all of what she thought were the satanic records, and she left me Post-it notes with explanations for why they were. But the weird part was the way that she dichotomized, because she took out Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, and she took out Iron Maiden, I think the Trooper, because I think maybe there's a picture of Satan or something. But she left Power Slave and she left Peace of Mind. Same band. I don't really make any sense. Anyway, that was my genre, right? By the end of the 80s, I was already bored of it. Hip hop had already kind of taken over. Punk had kind of come back a little bit more in my life, and pop music was being dominated by like fucking Milli Vanilli and shit like that. So when Smells Like Teen Spirit dropped, and then shortly after by 10, and then followed by Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, or mixed in there, because I think that Soundgarden probably predates them, but my being aware of them as a band, all of that, just it was a resurrection of rock music. It returned to my life in a way that I could not even really express the gratitude for that. It was awesome for me during that period of time. I don't rank them amongst the best, most skilled bands in the world. They kind of weren't. They weren't playing that, and that was the punk rock edge of it. That what they did was they took this hair metal form of rock and roll and they brought it back down into the kind of the garage, and I just I liked it. I liked that a lot. So we're at 50 minutes right now. You about ready to wrap it up? Because if so, I've got a story to send us out with.
You know what? I have a little bit of OCD. We need to at least make it 1 hour. Now that we're at 50 minutes, we got to at least.
All right, so we'll make it 1 hour.
10
more
minutes.
All right, so I'm going to tell the story anyway. There was a concert that I was not allowed to go to. I think because I got bad grades, or maybe I stole the car, or borrowed the car, or something. I was over 20. I was over 18, but I was still living at home, and so I done something, and I was not able to go to the show at the Palladium. See the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who I still have never seen, and this would have been Red Hot Chili Peppers while they were touring Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Palladium, maybe 1,000 people max, at that joint, and I had not heard of either of the two opening bands. Neither had any of my friends, all of whom went to this concert. And they were sitting out in the parking lot getting drunk, waiting for the Chili Peppers, and missed the opening band, which was Pearl Jam, prior to 10 being released, and the second band, which was Nirvana, right after the release of Nevermind. They were sitting in the parking lot, drinking beer, and skipping that concert. And that is a story in LA that gets retold a lot. There were a lot of people out in that parking lot who did not go into the concert to see Pearl Jam or Nirvana because they had no idea who they were. They were there to see the Chili Peppers, and that was it.
That's wild. I try to always see the opener if I can.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. They could just blow your fucking mind,
At least I used to. Now with kids, it's hard to plan babysitting and getting out of the house on time.
That's true.
And I'm old now, so I'm just like, I don't want to be out that late, or I don't want to leave that early, or But yeah, the opener. I've seen a lot of good openers too. Nothing like that though. That's wild. We were talking about. I was talking with my wife once about how long, because we've been to hundreds of concerts, and I was talking about. I wonder how much of our life we have wasted standing in front of a stage waiting for an act to come on.
I thought you were going to say wasted by going to these shows.
No. Waiting
Dude,
for an act to come on. Like, they're supposed to be on at 8. We've been there since 7:15. It's now 8:10. If you add up all the minutes, I wonder how many hours we'd get back in our life. Probably a couple days.
A day, a week.
At least. I
think pressed in there amongst, a couple thousand of your closest friends.
How many festivals I've been to where we're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
What was the last concert you went to?
The last concert I went to, I think, was The Cure.
I
think.
Did you like them?
Oh, they were amazing.
They were great. Yeah. So did I tell you I saw them on consecutive nights here in San Diego, because we've got those season tickets, and it was a different show, different night, different show.
Yeah.
Night 1 was better. The night 2, they had a little bit of a problem, I thought, with the mix, maybe that wasn't quite as good, but they were both excellent. In both cases, Robert, thank you. Robert Smith was everything that I expected a 65-year-old grandma in drag to be. Because that's how he looked. He looked bad.
That is Edward Scissorhands' grandfather.
He sounded great. Who? What?
It's Edward Scissorhands' grandfather. That's what I
call yeah, dude. Yeah.
So, he sounded amazing, dude.
Yeah, he did. So my last concert that I went with my buddy Dave. We went to at Petco Park. They have the concert out in the park where it's not like in the stadium. Before that, we saw Foo Fighters. Christine and I probably for the 5th time. That's my '90s band, my '90s favorite band. Just the one that makes me. No, you really ought to because Dave Grohl really knows how to manage a show. He's excellent as a showman.
Why should you pick them? And you're just talking about these '90s.
No, because you want to know why? Because we were kind of stuck in the early '90s, to be honest. But
Foo Fighters came out what, '95?
And I'll tell you who else we didn't talk about in the '90s is Weezer. Weezer comes out. That's of all of the bands that went past my MTV TV screen back in the early '90s. The last one that I would have expected to be making music all the way through into the 2020s.
Weezer?
Yeah, dude. But they're
a weird band, man. They
they are.
They're a weird band. They do like weird shit, like Pretty Fly for a White Guy, and that shit is just weird to me for a band like that because they put out some other songs that. I mean, like I said, I saw them at Red Rocks. They were good. They were really good, but I just think they're like, what's the lead singer's name again? I can't think of it right now, but it's gonna bother me too.
Sorry. Oh, by the way, we're gonna have to have a section where we come back and correct all the stupid things that we said wrong in the past. Last week I said that
I realized it was kind of tacky for me to hit my vape in the middle of it after I hit it, so maybe we can edit that.
This joint. So I was going to take us out with this joint.
Cuomo. Wait, what's his name? Oh my God! Now I gotta look it up. Sorry, hold on.
Sorry, I'm going to take this moment to correct something I said last week. Last week I said that I listened to Inspectah Deck's 1989 release. I'm pretty sure that in 1989, Inspectah Deck was in middle school. So it was his 1999 release, which is dope still. What's his name?
Oh, Rivers Cuomo.
Rivers Cuomo.
Anyways, he does weird stuff with I don't know. I don't know. They're a weird band for me. Let's put it that way. I like them. They're good, but you're right.
They're one where the whole family loves the band and we know all the songs, and so it's one of those.
They're not. I mean, they're not a bad band. They're just kind of. It's a weird. They have a weird mix that they got going on with Lil Wayne and doing this here.
That's true. I love that song. We dug that album, and most people who are lifelong Weezer fans didn't like that album too much in the configuration, but that one dropped right when my daughters were starting to get into popular music, and it was the one, if we were all driving somewhere in the car, we could all agree on that, so we listened to a lot of it.
I got one last question for you.
Go for it.
This will probably take us out. Who is your least favorite musician or act of all time that when they come on the radio, you're like, I don't want to listen to this?
Wow. So there was some really bad pop in the late 90s or in the late 80s. I would say New Kids on the Block type of shit. That was boy bands when they sucked too. They just were not good. I mean, I guess that genre probably improved in terms of quality and production, but when you're improving on a turd, I'm not really sure. You can't really polish one of those bad boys.
Yeah, you got to give New Kids on the Block credit because they were groundbreaking. To be honest,
I was tormented with that music. I worked at Music Plus at the time, and they were on the playlist, and we had to play that whole album once every time I worked. And if I never hear another New Kids on the Block song again, I think I'm gonna have to say New Kids on the Block, except for maybe Kid Rock. I think I would not listen to anything that Kid Rock is doing. He's bad.
Listen, Kid Rock.
So I may have to. This is something I probably have to give a little bit more thought. But the two that just come to mind. Kid Rock and New Kids on the Block. Those are two that I'll turn the dial.
When we go to Kid Rock, I gotta take anything that he says or does nowadays out of it and go back to his old stuff. The dude is a talented musician. That guy plays every single instrument. And we're just talking about music, okay? Whatever his political views or whatnot, throw that out the window. As a musician, and right. I watched an acoustic set by him, and it was fucking amazing. And I'm like, holy shit, this dude is talented. He plays the drums, he plays guitar, he plays the piano, he plays every single instrument. So as a musician, the shit he's putting out now is kind of trash. But back in the day, he did some decent stuff and some really good stuff. And he was kind of groundbreaking a little bit too, especially in the Detroit scene with his rap rock stuff.
He came out and I heard his first fucking shit. And I'm like, oh, what happened to Limp Bizkit? Why do they sound so shitty? That's exactly what I said until somebody corrected me and said, that's Kid Rock. I'm like, what's Kid Rock? I never fucking got it.
Kid Rock was
he could play guitar and he could sit behind a drum kit.
I think he's pretty talented.
I could play guitar and whoop out 12 different chords for you, and it's not going to sound great, and I'm not going to call myself a great musician because of it. And I can sit behind a drum kit, and I could play on 2 and 4 for you, and I can do a series. I could probably play dozens of songs.
Hey, buddy. I've seen it. I've watched him, dude. I've watched it. And again, I don't
anything on the piano, but it does not.
Anything he believes in, I don't really believe in, but I gotta give him credit.
When it comes to art, I really don't care what their political opinion is. If you're an artist, you're cutting through that shit, and I'm gonna fucking pay attention to it if it's good art. It's just how it is.
Well, he ain't putting out good music now. I'm talking about back in the day. I know you know. You know what? I'll be first to say I was a huge Limp Bizkit fan, and I would still. They're my Limp Bizkit is my my Limp Bizkit and REO Speedwagon are my 2 loves that I don't tell too many people about.
Well, I heard Henry Rollins talk about Limp Bizkit once, and he totally put it into context. He's like, they come out on stage, and they come in with the bass and the drums and the guitar, and it's like boom, and I'm like, if I was 16 years old, this would be my favorite fucking shit. Fuck yeah, let's go wreck something. Let's just, you know. You pull away a little bit, and now you listen to it, and yeah, it reminds you of wanting to be 16 and going out and wrecking some shit.
Still listen to it, but my
Bizkit is way better than Kid Rock in my book. I can't even.
But my 2 that I turn off all the time, and I'm gonna get hate for this too, is Beck.
Ooh,
and Dave Matthews.
And who?
Dave Matthews.
All right, I could live with the Dave Matthews thing. Although I wouldn't turn him off. He does okay stuff, but why Beck? What's wrong with Beck?
Just not my thing, dude. I just don't like it. It's not bad. Again, I'm not saying either one of them because Dave Matthews is a hell of a musician, but to me, it's the same shit over and over and over and over again, and it's just I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. You know what I mean? But
it's because of his instrumentation. He's locked into having only these instruments, and they produce this sound. You know, that's so you just no, it isn't your jam. I'm going to disagree with you 100% on Beck, and I'm going to throw us out with this last question. I'm going to ask you. We'll pick this up in our next episode. But think about this: do you think that your opinion of Kid Rock has anything to do with the fact that he is from Detroit and you have got that what's called micro patriotism towards Detroit?
Absolutely not.
Totally legit, by the way. You don't think that you give a little bit of a nod to bands that come out of Detroit? No Pete Seeger, no Glenn Frey, Motown. I mean, Motown's great. I'm not gonna. I mean,
Seeger's amazing. So
and all of them are. But do you think that they get a little bit more of a nod to you because they come from where you come from?
Seeger gets a nod for me because of my dad, and he loved Bob Seger, and it was just kind of put into my life. You know what I mean? He listened to Bob Seger all the time. I listen to Bob Seger all the time. The Kid Rock thing has nothing to do with where he's from. I'm telling you, legit. I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
This acoustic set, and it was good. It was so good, and I was like, and this was before I watched this before any of whatever he believes in now was out.
Is that where he does the duet with Sheryl Crow?
I think that's one of the songs he plays, but yeah.
Okay, so here's our homework for next week. You're going to send me something to listen to from Kid Rock. I'm going to send you something to listen to from Beck.
That sounds so bad. I'm going to send you something to listen
to. Kid Rock.
You're going to rock. All I was saying is he's a good musician, and not all of his music sucks, but the new stuff does. I don't know.
So, like I said, for me, it's a matter of perspective. What I received Kid Rock in a spot when I just didn't think it sounded like very good Limp Bizkit, and so I was affected immediately by that point of view. And then I'm sure all of his antics and everything since then have affected me as well. But I think this is a really cool, because if I come away from this with an appreciation for Kid Rock, and you come away from this with an appreciation for Beck,
Bro, you're like giving me the hardest homework ever. I'm going to appreciate Beck.
I'm going to give you Odelay to listen to. Odelay is an amazing album. It's a phenomenal album where he does all kinds of like stuff that was way ahead of its time at that moment, and it's going to sound good to you now. Watch.
But I just think he's boring. I don't think he's bad. You think Kid Rock is bad, so my homework is way harder than yours. All right. Challenge accepted, brother.
Dude, going to listen to an album that is considered by rock critics and music critics to be one of the greatest of the decade, if not of all time. Like I used to hear K-Rock DJs call this the resurrection of Sgt. Pepper's and shit like that. They call it the
okay, critics are wrong sometimes, okay? Not everyone.
They might be, but you're going to listen to something that more people have come around and said is brilliant than what you're giving me to listen to.
Oh no, I'm just trying to. Most definitely, agreed. So I have a harder. Okay. The homework should be. You're not going to come out liking Kid Rock, but you're going to appreciate him a little bit. That's what you got to just give me a little bit, because it's.
And I'll accept the same.
I'm not Jesus Christ himself. I can't change your mind like that.
Not even Jesus can, apparently.
All right, guys, that's it for us. Hopefully you liked it. We're just going to get better and better every week.
We're eventually going to get like headphones and microphones and shit.
Yeah,
we're going to
do that. And we're going to set up a YouTube channel here when I get my ass up to do it. And we'll upload these 2 episodes, and we'll see you next time around. Later, brother.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Peace.
Yep.